Welcome to the Pointy End. I'm Keith Sutherland. Today my guest is Brenton Johnson. Welcome again, Brenton.
G'day Keith, great to be back.
Yeah, I was only here a little while. We spoke about a few issues and when you're standing for council, etc. But I will make comment. But you've made quite an impact on the smart city. Explain to me, I know that last week's council meeting passed the resolution to support the smart city. Tell me, what is a smart city?
Okay, it's probably better to start with what a smart city isn't. So a lot of people think from the people I've been speaking to, they're saying, isn't a smart city something so complicated that I can't use it and it's only for tech heads like me? I said, no, it's actually the opposite of that. So the idea is to make it really accessible to people. So things that were really expensive and complicated to do now, using technology, we can make easy and accessible. So it's about improving the lives of citizens in the city and making the city more efficient. So they're the two main themes of a smart city.
There seems to be a lot of people on board with it because the council want to apply to be one of the first regional inland pilot sites. So there's a lot involved. There's a lot of people getting on board. You made mention that tech-savvy people like yourself, less tech-savvy people like myself, will probably find this process a bit daunting to sort of go through. But I see also the GM from Discovery Centre, Jonathan Ridnell, is on board, which you'd understand from where he sits, of course, but a lot of business people and others. But why should Bendigo be the hub of this smart city? I know we've got some great thinkers, young people, older people, and the council's done some amazing things, but why Bendigo?
I think Bendigo's really well positioned. We've got the university out here for starters. Discovery Centre is another great asset in the organisation. We have a lot of innovators. We've got a long history of being an innovative city. I just think, especially when you take into account things like real estate. So real estate's much more affordable in Bendigo than, say, in Melbourne. And in a smart city, it doesn't matter where in the world you are. So if you can build it somewhere where you've got enough people, which is Bendigo, so it's not too rural, it's close enough to Melbourne. But yeah, I just think there's nowhere else better than Bendigo. But I could be biased too a little bit.
Well, we're all biased about Bendigo. We all think that Bendigo is the centre of the universe, including myself.
Yeah.
Interesting you said that we've got a population. We've also got some highly skilled people and the university and council are supporting. Plus, of course, the brand new hospital. So there's a lot of pluses in this whole process.
Yep.
Interesting last week where they predicted in 2031, Bendigo will have a population of 147,000 people, which is huge. So it is growing really well and people are coming on with it. The negative that I read in the article was that it's all very well to talk about smart cities, but do we leave people behind? There is poverty, there is homelessness. I've been in Melbourne last weekend and I noticed that, and having come back just recently from overseas, you see a lot of homelessness over there, but I've never seen so much as I have in Melbourne. Would the concept of smart city, unfortunately, take the focus off what other issues are, the social welfare issues that this city and every other city has, because we've got a higher proportion of people on welfare in Bendigo. We've got one side, the smart side, but the welfare area is another side. So are they going to be left behind or fall through the cracks in this?
Yeah, I think it's important to go back to when you're going about building a smart city, where do you start, I think we're fortunate that the organisations and the heads of the organisations in Bendigo have a social conscience, I suppose, and do look at this stuff. So it's not like we're just going to push through with capitalism and we're going to do this. We've got innovators like Ian McBurney out there talking about the sharing economy and, to give you a bit of statistics around that, there's $80 million that goes straight out of Bendigo at the moment just on power. So if we could create our own power with solar panels and stuff, we'd keep $80 million in Bendigo circulating. To put that in context, the council budget's about $200 million. So we're not talking about an insignificant amount of money. And to go back to my original point there, if you can focus on the people, And that's what the whole purpose of Smart City is. We start with the people and we work back to the technology. We don't start with the technology and try and fit it in to the people. So if we have a group of people who are disadvantaged, that should be part of how we address these things. So can we make our smart city better for homeless people? Can we offer some sort of showers or something that automatically open and close during different times of the night? Can we put security cameras around the place that look for crime? So this is happening today, they're doing this today. So they look for crime, so if there's people out there on the streets at night and they're in danger, artificial intelligence could come in and say, okay, that person's in danger, alert the police, and the police could come around and assist those individuals. So I think there's a lot of space for helping the disadvantaged, and ultimately if we do it right, disadvantaged will end up being more advantaged. But if we forget about them and we don't focus on the people, which is what it's all about, we'll end up with a situation where we will leave them behind.
Okay. There's a couple of comments I put these two people up of two of Bendigo's community leaders, and I'll just quote their comments. Manager of Strategy for the City of Greater Bendigo, Trevor Budd, said, "There is no point just building the wealth of a city if the wealth isn't shared." First point. Second one was from Bendigo Senior Secondary College Principal Dale Pierce. Agreed that education was a way to break down entrenched disadvantage. So both of those areas, that follows up what you've exactly said, that it's not just about the technology, it's not just about doing something. These people, these great thinkers in my mind, and along with young people like yourself that are great thinkers, and Ian McBurney, that innovative. So we've got all those people in Bendigo, as long as the whole community can go along. They've also got to have ownership, and they've got to buy this along the way. Otherwise, the concept falls on deaf ears, and we're seeing there's a certain section is being elitist, and the others are being left behind.
Yeah, and just on that topic of education, one of the big things that's happened with the internet in the last 10 years is called a MOOC, so massively online course, something like that, where it costs, once you've created the material for a university course, right? It doesn't cost you any more to distribute that material, right? If you put it on the internet, if you put it on Facebook, for example, it costs you practically nothing to distribute that to millions of people if people want to consume that. So with a MOOC, that's what's happening now. There's universities around the world. There's one in Tasmania that's created the world's best course in, I think it's aged care or something like that. And they just made it free on the internet. So anyone, it doesn't matter if you've got no ATAR score, you haven't gone to high school or whatever, there's educational opportunities already available online, and the Smart City would help increase those opportunities for people. So if you want to go and get educated, the price, and this is a big thing with the Smart City, the price of everything is going to fall significantly, but that comes with its own challenges as well, because everything relies on price in our current economy. But yeah, it's great opportunities there.
There's a lot of interest in it because we all talk about the digital age. We've got the NBN rollout and etc., and we hear it constantly. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of other issues that sort of come with that smart city. We've got the social media, we've got all sorts of other media. How do we really get this message through? And it's up to leaders like yourself and others to be able to do it. The Mayor will be on board, obviously, and other community leaders. But the process, as I understand it now, is that the Council has approved that we make application. There is already an existing group, I believe, working on this and have been for some considerable time. So do they then make application to Canberra for funding, hope that we're going to be the first regional inland city to take this on? How does it work, and what's the consequence, and how does it follow?
Yeah. So with a council, I think the best way to look at this is if you think of the food chain of a bigger fish eating a smaller fish that in turn eat the smaller fish, that sort of thing. That's all been turned on its head with this stuff. So the smaller fish eats the slightly larger fish, and the slightly larger fish eats the massive fish now. I was going to bring that photo, but I didn't bring it. So with this stuff, it's really bottom up. the smart city is not going to happen unless everyone and all the citizens are involved. So already partway there, everyone has a supercomputer in their pocket, right? Everyone has a mobile phone, a smartphone. I think it's like 97% of the population now have a smartphone. So we've got a lot of the infrastructure there. There'll be a little bit of leadership from council, state and federal level governments to come in and provide more infrastructure. So that NBN's one of them, but stuff like free Wi-Fi is another one, and that goes back to the disadvantage point before. All of those sorts of things. But ultimately, we're going to have to, as leaders, inspire people to take charge of the Smart City initiative, because it's just like the internet. The internet isn't a top-down approach. People on the internet don't decide how the internet works. It's a very, very democratic process where if people don't contribute on the internet, the whole internet falls over, right? If people stop being internet citizens. So we're going to have that same experience with the smart city, that if we can't get people on board, the whole thing will fall over before it starts. So that's another good reason why we should have it in Bendigo, because we've already got great digital leaders in Bendigo out there talking about this stuff all the time. So I think we'll be able to get most of the people on board. Good, strong city.
Just one more point on this finally, and then there's a couple of other topics I want to talk about. What's the biggest opportunity for Bendigo? Not because it's going to be the first, not because of the people in Bendigo, but what's the biggest outcome that we can sort of across the board that you see will benefit us becoming this smart city? We're already halfway there, but...
Yeah, we're already halfway there to an extent. I guess if we can get in early and get the stuff thought about early. So things like driverless cars, for example. When driverless cars come in, there'll be no reason to have car parks anymore, because we'll just say to the car, go and park at home. We don't need to have it park in the CBD. You can park a kilometre out of the CBD, and then when you need it, you just ring it and it comes and picks you up. So it's like having your own personal taxi. Ian McBurney again has talked about having less cars. So rather than owning a car, because you only use it 20 minutes a day or whatever, you just rent one. So everyone rents driverless cars from other people in the community. So from that side of things, if we can think about this stuff early and get that set up early, we're going to be light years ahead. We're going to be really attractive to people from Melbourne. If we're a smart city with great access to facilities, we're the 10-minute neighbourhood, which is a big emphasis of the council at the moment. If we do all the things that we're talking about now, we'll pull people from Melbourne, and we'll pull people from Ballarat, and we'll pull people from Sydney, and we'll pull people from Hong Kong, rather than it being the other way around where, people leave Bendigo, they go to Melbourne, then they go to Sydney, and then they get pulled into Hong Kong or Singapore or somewhere like that. So if we can really get this right, we could be a world leader in Bendigo, and there's absolutely no reason why we couldn't be. So that's where I see the biggest opportunity.
All right, off that subject, which is probably slightly a follow-on, all these people that are on Pokemon Go.
Yes.
Now, how do we embrace getting them involved in this? Because I see it every day, and I've been in Melbourne, I've been sitting around watching these people, and they're literally hundreds of people following this new craze, and it is a craze. They're out in the rain day and night. There's cars driving down towards the Chinese museum. They're out there under the umbrellas chasing this Pokemon thing that I don't quite understand, and I'm not going there. But at the end of the day, how do we get those people involved, and how do we try and get them to be off Pokemon and be doing something that I would consider is giving back to the community? Because we all take on selfish little things, and I do it myself included. But the Pokemon thing is becoming, I think, dangerous. You walk down the streets and people have got their mobile phones trying to follow this whatever.
Yeah.
Cars driving. Last night I looked out my window and there was 8 cars down in the Chinese, 9:30 at night, raining, chasing this thing. So how do we've got to embrace change, we've got to embrace new crazes, but how do we get those people to perhaps look in a different direction, or you can't?
Look, I think of Pokemon Go as an infrastructure. So I'll go back to the infrastructure argument again. There's a pizza shop in America, and they're a big franchise chain, and they basically saw this Pokemon Go and put in a store policy that they have to drop lures. So what lures do is create more Pokemon to be out the front of their shop. Their sales went up 75%.
Oh, wow. So it's a great marketing tool.
It's a great marketing tool, but that's an opportunity that other organisations could have. So if the Chinese museum's looking to get more people into the Chinese museum to learn about Chinese history, they can drop some lures in there, get the people in, because that's the hardest part, right? Getting people through the door. And once they're there, come over and say, oh yeah, I catch Pokemon too. Can I show you around the Chinese museum? So I think if we can work with the technology and work with some of the trends, like it probably won't be a thing forever, but there'll be all of these sorts of things that'll come up. And I think if we can leverage the technology to help the community, like you said, and get some people engaging with it rather than being fearful of it or whatever, that will work really well, I think.
Great analogy. I like that. Finally, now, Brenton Johnson, the candidate for Epilogue Board. How's all that going for you? We spoke about it a few months ago. And how's that coming? Because we're coming up to October. So you've really got to get your name and image out there and get the public to understand. So how's that going for you?
Yeah, really good. So I'm bringing the conversation about digital and online Bendigo to Bendigo. So that's my full focus at the moment. I put my Pointy End interview up there pinned on my Facebook page. It's my favourite media article, Keith.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's got about 700 views on it now, I think.
700 views. That, of course, it's promoting Pointy End and yourself, plus Bendigo IPTV. But that was a very impressive interview, and I had a lot of feedback from that. One of the things that sort of stuck in my brain was that interview process, the cost using the social media. Can you just run that past me again? Because that blew me away with some of those facts. And that's the sort of thing you're going to bring to the table if you get elected as Epilogue Ward Councillor.
Yeah. So we were talking about the cost of doing a transaction with council or with a government organisation. So it usually costs about $17 to do a transaction with government. Doing it face-to-face, via post I think it's about $13, and do it online it's about 40 cents.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, it's massive. So that's one of the big things around the smart cities as well, and online Bendigo, that we've got 10, we might have Silicon Valley, for example. You look at Silicon Valley, you've got Dropbox. Dropbox had 98% of its customers on the free plan, and it was considered one of the most profitable companies in Silicon Valley. So I want to bring some of that think into council and go, can we have a council model where 98% of people aren't paying for it, but it's still making money? Because that stuff has been proven to be true. It was almost impossible 10, 15 years ago, but now with new technologies, now with smart cities, we can do it. So I really want to bring some of that in there and go, okay, well, if we want to address social disadvantage, maybe the council can support a massively online course. It costs $50,000 to get the material together, but if a million people take it, it costs us $51,000. You know, it's not something like that. Really put Bendigo on the map and look at alternative income streams rather than just look at rates and trying to charge more rates, because we can't do that anymore. Rate capping, stop that. So we're going to have to look at other more innovative ways, and that's why I'm running.
Well, Brenton, thank you once again for appearing on the Pointy End and enlightening us about the smart city concept. And it's great that you're really in that digital age that can explain it succinctly. So we really do appreciate you appearing on the program today.
Thank you, Keith. I'd love to be here.
Thank you.